Those mountains are unstable. They rumble and sigh all the time, like an army of old men.
You could be hearing Ettins or something.
This is definitely shifting ground. Unstable.
Maybe it's giants.
Unless they're underground? I don't think so. I wonder if the gods are coming back.
I thought they were myth.
Not at all. I know people who still find their favor, and even cast a spell or two.
I haven't seen proof.
They're hiding. That's my theory.
Oh my goodness. Welcome back, guys. Part 30. I just started working out again for the first time in a long time this week, and I ache so badly. But we're back. We're ready to continue our adventures with Casey on this fine evening up in the upper gardens of Divinity's Reach. And as you hopefully remember from the end of the last episode, we have got an invitation from the Queen to meet with her about some pretty serious business. So yes, we are now moving on to chapter 3, and a little bit of trivia for you guys. What we're about to experience story-wise almost didn't make it into the full series. Because, as you can see, the title of this instance is called The Orders of Tyria, and what it's going to deal with is story we've actually touched on a few times now already, and that is who the Orders of Tyria are, what they want to do with the Elder Dragon threat, and how we're going to, as you can guess, eventually end up joining them. And when I was originally sketching this whole thing out, I actually had this pegged as a bonus selection of videos that we would sort of skip this bit and then get into the juicier story later. But I figure you guys are going to want to see the full adventure of Casey, thus meaning this series is a little bit longer than I'd originally anticipated. But it should be fun, so let's do it.
Your Majesty, Captain Thackeray, I was summoned.
Indeed. I'm glad you're here, my friend. Crater needs you once more.
You know I'll do anything I can to help. What's the problem, Captain?
There's a swamp in southern Crater called Lichcroft Mere. The area's been hit hard by our war with the Centaurs. Most of the lumber there goes to build catapults and defenses, so it's common practice to use strips of marsh moss instead of firewood on cold nights. However, the Seraph have brought me recent reports that risen undead, servants of Or, have been seen in the swamp.
Risen? The dragon's minions. If they're in the swamp, anyone who goes in there would be in great danger.
Precisely. The three Orders of Tyria are pushing to be involved, but can't agree on a plan. While they bicker, my people are at risk. Hero, I have summoned you to act as advocate of the Crown. I want you to meet with the Orders and take charge of the situation.
You'll be dealing with the Vigil, the Durmand Priory, and the Order of Whispers. All three specialize in fighting Zhaitan and its minions. However, they all use different methods. It'll be your job to decide which plan is best, and then act on it.
You will have the full authority of the Crown to handle this situation. Will you accept this task, Hero?
Hell yeah, I will.
Your Majesty, I will. I'm honored to serve Crater and my queen.
Thank you. Go, and meet with the Order representatives as soon as possible. I look forward to your report.
So Casey is perhaps a little bit more diplomatic than I would have been. But yeah, so that's basically our introduction there. A swamp, which is used for lumber in the war effort against the Centaurs. We've been seeing undead creeping around. And, you know, Crater's fairly north, right? So the idea that Zhaitan's minions are starting to affect these territories is actually genuinely quite a scary prospect. But before we leave and go to deal with that, I did want to talk a little bit about this room. This is the throne room. The story will loop us back in here several times. Of course, we get to meet with our Majesty Queen Jenna. She's looking pretty goddamn good, right? I don't know. I always have a very distinct memory of when I first started playing this game. I was really curious when I first met her, because it was only when I finally saw her on screen that I realized I had no idea what I imagined the Queen to actually look like. I guess as a British man, I maybe expected her to look a little older than this, but like, she's so young. She looks younger than us, Christ. And so, yeah, that was a kind of a funny moment. Obviously, in lore, we can appreciate the fact that she's quite young. She's only recently come to the throne. The Ministry were in charge before her. But actually having that moment was one of those big things for me. But yeah, this is where she resides over. She's got this big old couch here that she sits down on and rules from. And yeah, this is the room itself. I think it's genuinely really gorgeous. Beautiful, nice, reflective marble surfaces everywhere. These red rugs thrown over the place. All these heroes and things lining the walls. Reminds me a little bit of the Mausoleum of the Arbiter for some reason from Halo. And of course, she's got this giant rock behind her. Now, this rock could have something to do with a pretty cool mystery and series of other rocks players of the first game might be familiar with, those being the Bloodstones. But I won't get into those conspiracy theories just now. For now, all we will see is that she's got this very cool looking beautiful rock in her throne room. Logan's here as well. Hey, dude. He says, thanks for taking on this problem, friend. I know you'll do what's best for Crater. And we can say, can you tell me what you know about the Orders of Tyria? And he says, absolutely. Do you want to know about the Vigil, the Durmand Priory, or the Order of Whispers? And so, at this point in the story, we generally know what's going to come up here, right? Tell me about the Vigil. The Vigil was founded by a Char named Almora Soulkeeper. Her warband was corrupted by the Crystal Dragon, and she was forced to kill them all. We say she may be a Char, but I can empathize what happened then. And Logan says Almora swore to defeat the dragons. She resigned her commission in the Blood Legion and started a worldwide volunteer militia, the Vigil. Can you tell me more about the situation in Lichcroft Mare, we ask? And he says, village children go into the swamp to get firewood. If the Risen are in there, do everything you can to get those innocents to safety. Here you'll notice there's another typo. Unfortunately, it really feels like there's quite a lot in some areas of the human story, particularly. This won't be the only one from this arc. One of the reasons I wanted this to be a bonus series is I've got to be blunt with you guys. I don't like this part of the story. It's actually one of the lowlights of the whole story, in my opinion. Just because of how it handles certain things, and it just seems to have had zero quality assurance or pass over it. But yeah, so understood. I need to ask you another question if you don't mind. What do you think about the Durmand Priory? He says, well, the Priory are a group of scholars and relic hunters. They possess massive knowledge on arcane lore, as well as the largest library in the world. Wow, what can scholars do to stop the dragons, we speculate. He says, don't let their demeanor fool you. These are tough, shrewd people with a mission to discover the dragon's origins, their purpose, and their weaknesses. Okay, so it sounds like they've got something to offer the dragon fight as well. And then lastly, we have the Order of Whispers. The Order of Whispers move in shadows and deal in secrets. Their network of covert agents uses thievery, blackmail, and assassination to achieve their goals. They sound pretty shady. Are they reliable? And Logan says they seem to be reliable, yes. Luckily for us, the Order recognizes the threat posed by Zaitan and the others. I can't say I trust them, but I do respect them. So then we get a little bit of an overview of the Orders once again, and Casey is going to be undoubtedly thinking, which of these Orders do I actually want to join? So I think I have everything I need to get started. I'll let you know how it goes. What else have we got? Well, we have a niece here again, mysterious older niece. You'll notice she's actually champion level. Logan is legendary, and the Queen is just like a regular enemy, it seems, or NPC. What does the niece say? Fair weather we're having, I agree. She says, I'm glad you're here, Advocate. And I guess this is our title now, guys, Advocate. It's imperative that you discover what's happening in Lichcroft Mare. Lives depend on it. Was it your influence that convinced the Queen to name me Advocate, we ask? And she says, I simply ensured that Queen Jenna knew you were loyal and capable. And we've interacted enough to, I can see why she's on our side. I mean, not necessarily too much recently, but certainly before when we were at Minister Wee's party and so forth. So yeah, I'm glad you think so highly of me, Countess, we say. And then finally, Jenna here herself. She says, and you are ... Great. You didn't do a very good job, Anise. Logan and the Countess Anise speak with an E on the end, highly of you. I am confident you will be able to protect the people of Lichcroft Mare. Thank you, Your Majesty. Can you tell me anything else about this area? Lichcroft Mare is in Kessex Hills. You'll be meeting with the Orders at the trade camp south of Viathan Lake. May I ask you anything else? Your Majesty, what can you tell me about the Orders? The Orders study the Elder Dragons. So long as they stay out of politics, I allow them to operate in Crater. Is there one in particular you want to know about? What can you tell me about the Vigil's mission, we say? Well, the Vigil is a militant order, dedicated to fighting the dragons. They offer charity and protection to all people of Tyria. We say, what do you know about the Durmand Priory? Priory scholars saved the library. Okay, so this is actually some big story here. Priory scholars saved the libraries of Lion's Arch when ore rose. They studied the dragons in the hopes of finding a weakness. So yes, there is a story. I can't remember if we talked about this yet, but when Lion's Arch was destroyed all that time ago, they had to evacuate. And in that evacuation, a man named Durmand took as many tomes and books and things as possible and dragged them to the hills and the mountains nearby. And that collection was the beginning of the Durmand Priory Library and the Order in general, okay? And then lastly, what about the Order of Whispers, Your Majesty? I've seen its mysterious agents acting covertly to help Tyria. I may not trust them, but I recognize their contributions. Okay, cool. What else can we say? She's got a lot to talk about. Will I see you again soon, Your Majesty? Sadly, it is not safe for me to leave Divinity's Reach. I trust Captain Logan to work with you in the field. Good luck, Advocate. I guess that's fair. And during all these years among your noble court, I've never been so honored as at this moment. Thank you, Your Majesty. So, a bit of trivia for you guys. This last line, this changes depending on what we said in our biography about where we came from. If we said we were from the streets, we wouldn't have this dialogue at all. We'd have a different option. If we said that we were a common person, we'd have a different one. But because we said that Casey is amongst the nobility, we say this. It's funny that we've been among her noble courts all these years and she has no idea who we are. I am pleased to see you take on the duties of your high birth, Advocate. You will do the nobility proud. All right, okay. Should I do my, should I change my queen voice? Maybe, guys. I'll do my best, Your Majesty. May Dwayna watch over us all. So there you have it. General introduction to the existence of the orders. Let's leave the throne room now. I've got a couple of other things I want to show you just before we get out of the city and head back out into the wide world beyond. You'll notice, because there's a lot of dialogue there, I think basically what happened... There's that Char going for an audience with the Queen again. I think essentially what's happened is the developers probably wrote this story, this part of the personal story first. And therefore, like, there's a lot more bulky insights into who these guys are. Like, we hear much more about the founding of the Priory. We hear a lot more about the founding of the Vigil. Not so much the Order of Whispers. They are sneaky, so that's fine. But we hear more, probably because the devs were a little bit... The writers were a little bit more clear in their minds that as this was the first thing they were writing, they knew their player base would know nothing about it. Even though obviously you could pick up Guild Wars 2 and play something else immediately. But yeah, I do want to show you this here at the city. Jenna just said a second ago that she allows the orders to operate within her borders. Well, the Order of Whispers, not so much. Really, because they're super sneaky and secretive and they're just trying to pull the strings. And we know that the Queen has her own elite secret force, the Shining Blade, who we've dealt with, right? So, yes, she presumably has Order of Whispers agents around, but the Durmand Priory and the Vigil do have official charter houses here. So check it out. This is the Durmand Hall. You can see there's this actual text embedded into the wall like a signpost. They did this a lot in the early human areas, but not so much else interior. You actually got like signpost style things. But as we walk in, you'll see this is actually a point of interest, and it's a place we can go to learn a little bit more about the Durmand Priory. So here, check it out, the Centaur War. They have tomes and things. So, written more than 100 years ago, this well-preserved book bears the mark of Vonda. Oh, you guys are going to see a little cut there, but my phone just went off, and I've been on the phone for about 20 minutes now, so I can't remember what we were doing. Oh, yeah, we were reading the Centaur War. Okay, Casey, sorry, he's been waiting around for us. So what's this? Written for more than 100 years ago, this well-preserved book bears the mark of Lord Vonda Lation, one of the foremost scholars in the clash between humans and centaurs. I wonder if this guy's actually an NPC we can interact with. Read some. The first documented human-centaur battles occurred in 300 AE, when human settlements began spreading from the fertile Crichton Valley into the Shiver Peaks. Over time, human settlements grew and spread. Simultaneously, centaur tribes began to organize their efforts to hold and retake their lands. Early in his reign, the Crichton king Thorn proposed a treaty to the Centauran tribes, but centaurs reject its terms as unfavorable. So Guild Wars 1 deals with this war a little bit more. I love the whole human Crichton Centaur War ideas, because it is so similar to what's happening in Ascalon with the Char. but the Char and the Ascalon conflict gets all the focus. But essentially, it's another one of these stories that talks about, you know, warring over territory and the futility in the idea of looking purely at ancestry and who was there first in terms of like who holds the right claim to the land. The game, the franchise could easily go in a place where later we have, you know, a similar conflict. You know, the Centaurs become playable, and it's the Centaurs versus the Cubans and all this kind of stuff. But yeah, it's very, very cool. So close the book, and there's lots of them in this area. We get another one over here. We get the Winds of Change. This, of course, being the name of one of the Guild Wars Beyond campaigns from the original game. This book is already open on the last page. There it says, contact with Cantha was finally lost when the floods from Oars Rising disrupted trade. Someone has added a handwritten note in the margin. Someone scribbled, they've closed the shores to us and left us to fight the dragons alone. To the mist with them. So yeah, there are humans here. There are humans here, or slowly dying to the Char. There were humans here but killed. There are sporadic humans all around here, and this is, you know, current expansion, so I won't talk about this too much. But all the way to the south, there were humans as well, the Canthans. But trade has been completely disrupted, and we've got no idea what's going on. So yeah, there's a book on that. There's the Bloodline of Crater here. This book bears the royal seal of Crater. The first page begins, the royal lineage of Crater, as with all royalty, descends from King Doric. This legendary figure was the first to unite the human kingdoms in Tyria. Okay, King Doric, remember this name. We will find more references to him much, much later, but all kings and queens come from this guy, okay? Flip ahead. Once, the lineage of Crater was thought lost until the commoner Sauma was found to be the daughter of King Jaden. Sauma drove the White Mantle from Crater and became the hero to her people. Again, this is Guild Wars 1 story. This was 250 years ago. Flip ahead. Queen Jenna, a direct descendant of Sauma, is the current queen of Crater. She rules her people from divinity's reach. Here we have a citizen reading a book down here on the ground. That's kind of cool, actually. What do we got here? We've got some actual people. Is there any other books? Finally, a book here on the Elder Dragons. This book has been well thumbed. In the introduction, it says, they are ancient and unfathomable. They embody concepts of nature, fire, ice, crystal, even death. But their very presence threatens to destroy the world. Flip to the table of contents. So we can learn about the dragons here, guys, through the Priory. This is what the Priory is all about. And I think we should take the time to, considering that's, you know, so far in the series, we've mostly been domestic issues. But we're going to become about the dragons. So we do not know when these Elder Dragons came to be, only when we became aware of their awakening. Much later in the story, we will get more insights into exactly what order they woke up in. So first of all, fire. So, Primordus, this was the earliest. Primordus was the first to awaken in our time. Its previous awakening is the only one still known to history. Dwarven texts tell of the Great Destroyers, now believed to be a reference to Primordus and his army. Primordus rules over fire. As of this writing, his minions, known as Destroyers, plague the wetlands in the southwest of Tyria. This is an interesting line, because it sort of pins a lot of destroy activity. I mean, Southwest, right? Southwest is the Ring of Fire, which is very fiery and destroy, but we wouldn't really call that wetlands. But yeah, so Primordus was the first. He's the fire dragon. The original campaign, this series you're watching right now, doesn't deal with him too much. But yeah, this idea as well. The Elder Dragons are active right now, but they were asleep before now. And there was a previous awakening, and we still know about Primordus from back then. He's the only one we know of. What does that mean? Is that purely because of information from the dwarves, an ancient race from back then? Or is it suggestive that he was just that destructive? I'll also note, pay close attention to the fact that it says dwarven texts referred to Great Destroyers. That specific dwarven text, try to remember, because it just might become a thing in the story later. Another fascinating thing, too, is the Great Destroyers, plural, it says there. It seems that 250 years after the events of the original game, people now seem to think that there were, like, multiple Great Destroyers or whatever. But if you watch the Eye of the North series and go back to Guild Wars 1, the final boss of Eye of the North was the Great Destroyer. A single creature, the Great Destroyer. And now we've got this interpretation that there were multiple, or it's like a plural thing. Kind of interesting. Ice, Jormag. Jormag and his army arose in the far Shiver Peaks. Even in their sleep, their influence could be felt, as seen in the Norn legend of Jorah and Svanir. Again, a Guild Wars 1 story. Jormag has the power of ice that creeps and consumes the world around it. To those corrupted by him become ice brood, casting aside their own will to serve their master. Very creepy, and this is what drove the Norn south to where they now are in Holbreck. Death, Zaitan. Zaitan's awakening caused the once-lost island nation of Or to rise from the sea, flooding many coastal lands in the process. So we heard about this right when the series started, remember? The cutscene we watched right at the start about the Elder Dragon asleep beneath the sea, and he rose, and with it, a land rose with him. That's Or. This is what we're looking at here. All this crazy, scary end-game locations, all these level 80 zones. This is Or, guys. To rise from the sea, flooding many coastal lands, including Lion's Arch, which was destroyed. More accurately, a master of undeath. Zaitan has the ability to convert corpses into minions with his very breath. So back to the table of contents. So there is a developer quote that, like, their inspiration for Zaitan was that, like, he breathed the undeath out, but then to what extent that's emphasized by the game in the end, we don't... Well, you guys will see as the series goes along. Lastly, the most recent to awaken. Remember, the core story, the story we're experiencing right now is all about Zaitan, but the actual most recent dragon to have awoken was Kraukatoric. Just 5 years ago, in 1320. Seriously, just 5 years. Kraukatoric awakened in the Char land and flew south to the Crystal Desert. In his wake, a scar of crystal appeared, creating the dragon brand. So 5 years ago this happened. One of the novels deals with this, guys. Literally, he woke up here somewhere, the Char homelands, okay, well, up here, and he flew south. And you see this purple scar? This is the brand. The dragon 5 years ago left. Okay, that's in Char lands. That's very far from here in Divinity's Reach, though. We don't have to worry about that. All those stinking Char. We don't have to worry about that. Those altered by Kraukatoric are named Branded after this landmark. Survivors of the branding say the conversion occurred instantly, those affected turning powerful and violent. And this is what the leader of the Vigil witnessed happen to her warband, and then she fled, as we heard earlier, from the Queen herself, who founded the Vigil. So there you go. So a little bit about the dragons. I mean, what a great place, right, guys? I'll note on top of this that filtered throughout all of Divinity's Reach are book cards and other opportunities to read stories and get lore and stuff. And I'd love to show it all to you, but it would just bloat the size of the LP to be massive. But if you do play, keep an eye out, look at those. Interestingly, the most recent content that's come into the game, Season 4 stuff, 2018 content, they actually have new user interface for proper book UI and stuff, and we're all hotly anticipating some kind of, like, look back from the devs to update all of this. Hopefully that happens at some point, and I'll show it in the LP for you all. But yeah, it's really cool. This kind of stuff's everywhere in Divinity's Reach, but particularly here in the Durmand Priory area. And so, yeah, we do get some librarians. This is an Asura here. Very little man here. Librarian Welks. This library is available to the public. All books are free to access as long as they don't have to leave the premises. Is the Priory this generous with all their knowledge, we ask? Of course not. There are many dangerous collections in the main library. This library here is filled with things that are both safe for and relevant to the citizens here. Okay, so their main library. Doesn't that sound exciting, guys? Ooh, don't we want to go there? Recruiter Levanche says, welcome to the Durmand Hall, the base of operations for the Durmand Priory in Divinity's Reach. Feel free to look around and to ask questions. So, well, tell me about the Priory, we say. We in the Priory are dedicated to preserving, sharing, and utilizing knowledge. I will gladly share with you what I know. How did the Priory start? Long before Or rose, the scholar Durmand set out to compile a true history of Tyria. He built a monastery high above Lion's Arch to house his findings. That explains the name, but where did everyone else come in? And Durmand was an NPC we met back then, guys. The bonus mission pack, if you watch my original series, the guy that gave us those books in the bonus mission pack, that was Durmand! That explains the name. Where did everyone else come in? When the floods came to Or, much was destroyed, but Durmand's monastery survived. Seeing the wisdom of his plan, many more joined him, and the Priory blossomed into the diverse group that is active today. What's your purpose today, then? We are known for acquiring and deciphering knowledge, but we also strive to act on what we learn. When we hear of a threat, a need, or a boon, our imperative is to act. What's it like being in the Priory? It is quite varied, depending on your inclinations. Explorers search the world for lost wisdom. Scholars pore over tomes to glean their meaning. And that is not all, yes? We also have those who utilize our knowledge, be it to build devices or help with farming or to fight the front lines. Our work can take you everywhere and nowhere. So there seems like there's a lot of different things that the Priory encompasses. Can I join? we require our agents to have a certain amount of worldly experience. I'd suggest that you continue on your own path for now. When you're ready, I hope that you remember your interest in the Durmand Priory. Okay, fine. I think you can all tell that Casey's pretty excited to join this place though, guys, right? And there you have it. This actually, by the way, is art of the Priory itself. Maybe one day we will find ourselves there. This would be art of, I guess, Divinity's Reach there. What a cool little room, right? But that's not all. So that's the Durmand Hall. There is also on the other side, like opposite this, the Vigil Charter House, I think is what it's called. And over there, we will actually be able to see what the Vigil are up to, and we can learn a little bit more about them. So let's have a look. Signpost, Path of Dwayne. It's obviously not here. Let's run forward nice and quick here.
I hear the Commons has some. I'd show you, but I have to be somewhere else. Now, good day! Part-time bouncers. Previous bar brawl experience preferred, but not required.
So here, by the way, this barmaid, she's similar to that guy we saw before. She's talking about one of the other activities that never made it into the game. This time the bar brawl. We need someone to pull a quick shift over at the Busted Flagon. There have been lots of fights breaking out, and we could use some extra muscle to help keep people in line. What do you say? And we could say, good, tell me more. The carnival's been drawing huge crowds. Unfortunately, it can also draw some really unsavory type. Most of them won't leave without a good knock on the head, which is where you come in. I mean, just tell me where to go. The Busted Flagon. Didn't I mention that already? And she marks our map, but the content isn't in the game. It's been one of my long desires to see the devs actually add it, but hey, maybe one day, guys. All right, anyway, moving forwards. Here it is. Not too far. So the Vigil Chapter House. We get some Vigil members here. The Vigil Hall. Much more simple. I like the idea that maybe we should be able to go into these doors, but unfortunately they are closed and they will stay forever closed. And this time there's just two dudes to talk to. We get Crusader Magod.
Duty calls. I have answered.
Who says, brief rest. And then it's back to the Vigil Keep for my next assignment. Spirits grant you safety on your travels. And then there's this guy, Recruiter Rhiannon, who says, welcome to the Vigil Chapter House, the base of operations for the Vigil in Divinity's Reach. Feel free to look around and ask questions. Well, tell me about the Vigil. Ask whatever you'd like. That's what I'm here for. How did the Vigil start? It all started when the Dragon Brand appeared. As Kraukatoric flew over the land, his very passing turned every plant, rock, human, and char into crystal. What does that have to do with the Vigil? Almora's Soulkeeper, once a Char Tribune, saw her entire warband turned. She realized that fighting the Elder Dragons would take all people and all races working together, and she formed the Vigil. Just to be clear here, we're hearing that Almora was a Blood Legion Tribune. That's pretty badass, and you might recognize that. That's exactly what Ritlock is now. Very noble. What's the Vigil's purpose? The Vigil seeks to help those who cannot help themselves, and to fight the battles that can only be fought as a team. We provide defense and charity to those in need. Okay, what's it like being in the Vigil? We do whatever is needed. We are known for our fierceness on the battlefield because we fight hard for those who cannot fight for themselves. But there's more to it than that, yes? We also do many charitable works. We build sanctuaries, provide foodstuffs, and find homes for lost children. Any need you can think of, one of our crusaders will try to meet it. Can I join? If you want to help others, you must first help yourself. Once you have dealt with your personal matters and seen more of the world, perhaps you will remember your interest in the Vigil. I will, good luck. So there you go, that's the Vigil. I gotta say, I don't know, man. I don't know whether they're as exciting to us right now as the Priory. But there you go, guys. So that's a little bit more about the orders. That's what they do for the humans to teach about them, and it's much more comprehensive. And perhaps you'll find elsewhere in the game. But yeah, so we actually have got to deal with this swamp issue, right? And you'll see it's quite far away. It's very far south of Kessex Hills. So let's head on down to the waypoint we got right near where we found Deborah, who is off recuperating, resting, recovering. She has been for a while now. It's been a bit of a break since we helped her out. And, oh, look, there's a juvenile eagle. Maybe we could tame that. So basically, we are going to be heading south. And this is going to take us to some areas of the world that we did see Bract traveling on. Probably passing through a similar period in the timeline here, too. But we won't necessarily fully cross paths. We also have some other stuff that I want to talk to you guys about in terms of skills. So we've got some more centaurs here. Now that we're level 30, we do get to unlock some new abilities. and we got a lot stronger. So, first of all, you notice I actually got us a new staff. This one's a little bit of a darker wood. I gave us our simple little back piece here. This back piece is from tailoring. If you are a reasonable tailor that is making armor like this kind of cloth armor that we see here, you can get that as a back piece. It's one of the first ones in the game. What about weapons, though? First of all, there's an entire weapon set I don't remember us ever showing off on the series yet for Elementalists, and that is Scepter. So, in my inventory here, you can see I do have one.
Good idea. I could use a rest.
Keep the centaurs out.
I guess these guys are trying to keep centaurs away. So there's this little village here, by the way, which we'll have a brief exploration of. But yeah, so I do have a scepter. So we got a Modnir scepter, and we have a Modnir dagger as focus. So these are skins that you actually get from the centaurs that we've obviously been dealing a lot with lately. We've got bandits and centaurs are the two big things.
I think your stew is the best.
Flattery will get you everywhere.
Oh, she seems very nice. But so, what is Scepter? Well, Scepter is slightly lower range. Here you got a small quarry, by the way. You can speak to a variety of people. Foreman Wilder.
Nice to see you.
Hello there, tell me about this mine. The mine provides much needed ore to the Seraph and the villages throughout the area. It might not look like much, but it plays a significant role in the war against the Centaurs. Tell me about the area. Well, Centaurs and bandits continuously harass this region, and the Lion Guard turn, he's got a typo there, a blind eye. There are even rumors that the bandits are now supporting the Centaurs. Wow, tell me about the Lion Guard then. In general, the Lion Guard keeps the roads clear for trade. However, Lion's Arch has recently signed a treaty with the Centaurs. Now they just watch as Crichton villages get attacked. So yeah, the pirates of Lion's Arch, they're not necessarily 100% on the side of the humans that live here. They're just trying to forge peace between everywhere. So they're turning that blind eye. It's also kind of interesting that he has, he quite clearly talks about how there are rumors. Where was that? There are even rumors that the bandits are now supporting the Centaurs, and we kind of heard a little bit of that collaboration earlier with the Deborah thing, right? But there you go. So there's a nice little mine. There's a vista over there that you can get to, and there's a heart to help the people out this area. This has always been one of my more favorite backwater little areas of Crater, and I'm not entirely sure why. It's just nice. There's a nice little bit of dialogue. There's cool people chit-chatting about stuff. You can go into the buildings, as you can see here. You can wander around. I mean, look at the cool little details and things. It's great. Why are you so scared? Cheryl. What? She's scared and she's a merchant. Hello? That's very strange.
Centaurs trampling him all the time doesn't help either.
Oh, it looks like they've got some problems with Centaurs. Anyway, so we're going to go further south. Let's talk about Scepter. My god, there's too much to see. It's a slightly lower range version of staff. We'll show our fire achievement first of all. We get it in our main hand. First of all, you get the auto attacks, which just set people on fire and drop little pools of burning nastiness. You get the skill 2. It's called Dragon's Tooth. It's ground target, big tooth. It explodes down, burns, and does tons of damage. Skill 3 is Phoenix. This was one of the first skills that ever excited me about Guild Wars 2. You throw a Phoenix out. This is a reference to a Guild Wars 1 version of the skill as well, by the way. It creates a Phoenix that does damage as it travels. It explodes where it lands, and then it comes back to you. When it gets back to you, it gives you Vigor, allowing you to dodge, regenerating your endurance for a quicker dodge, and it cleanses conditions. Okay, so if we use our focus, which we've already seen, to drop a flame wall, you can put a Dragon's Tooth and a Phoenix into it, and both of them are blasts, so you can stack tons of might on yourself with this combo. So there you go, that's fire attunement. We'll use that on some enemies.
I came here seeking my fortune, fishing near Triskel Quay, but I was driven into Lion Guard protection at Overlake Haven by the Toxic Alliance. Now the lake is polluted, and Etten have attacked my new home. Please, fight for Triskel Quay and Overlake Haven.
Okay, we'll see what we can do there. Oh, okay, so look, there's a Centaur. So we can drop a Dragon's Tooth on him, put the Flame Wall under him, blast, and look at it's just crazy. There's just those 2 skills there, really. And you just burn the hell out of people. So, Scepter's like a really versatile weapon. Depending on what stats you build, it can be good power damage. It can genuinely be good condi damage, right? But that will only really shine in certain other areas of the game. You can be very defensive on it. You can be very glassy on it and very aggressive. I actually love it. It's one of my favorite Ellie weapons altogether. A lot of that stuff's AoE as well, by the way. So you see all these does? Yeah, we can kind of... Look at this damage! You can kind of just blow them all up straight away and then just burn them all to death. And that's only fire attunement. Ow, they actually really kind of hurt. I'm sorry, mower. I didn't want to attack the mower. No, mower. Alright, there you go. We're going to avoid the screech there. And yeah, as I'll show you what the auto attack looks like. It drops these little burning pools. And if you look here, he's just taking more and more and more burning. So I don't know whether I've been very clear about this, but burning is the single hardest hitting condition in the game. It does lots of damage, and the more you put them on, the more it stacks intensity. But yeah, so let's keep moving now. We're at a pretty cool little fishing village here. This is going to feature quite prominently in the story soon. This is Triskel Cay. Looks a bit poisoned and nasty, honestly, and they got all these boats here. But we won't worry too much. There's some nice fishermen. He's got a cool fishing rod. Fishing is still not actually a feature in Guild Wars 2, but I'm hoping in one of the upcoming expansions they will go for it. So yeah.
Hello.
I don't think they really have anything to say. We're going to go to the other side of this lake now. Oh, God. Oh, yeah, we can swim underwater. Have we done any underwater Ellie combat just yet? I can't remember. We might not have. So let's equip some skills. We only get one. That's the Glyph of Elemental Power so far. And check it out. So there's a shark. Let's look at underwater stuff. So you got the skill 2 is boil. The skill 3 is steam. Roll some steam out. There's so many fish here. You get the lava chains. And you get a heat wave. This is just in Fire Attunement. So you can basically just... Fire Attunement's really interesting underwater because they had to design, like... How do you design fire-based skills when you're completely submerged down? And so you'll see, like, they get around it flavor-wise in some cool ways by dealing with boil and steam and stuff like that. Right, like, they don't... It's not like open flames are down here. Remember that we have the Signet of Restoration, so every single time we attack, we get a little bit more healing. There's so many sharks. This is actually so dangerous right now. They're actually killing us with these bleeds. This is so bad. There you go. We just... Oh, my God. Look how many sharks we've killed here. One left alive. Oh, we're getting so low here. Jesus. Oh, no. Now there's a Barracuda. So Barracuda are really dangerous fish. I'm going to have to actually pop my... Well, let's use our glyph to... So the glyph, as you hopefully remember, means we do conditions and extra damage as we attack people. Finally. Barracuda are really dangerous because they summon more the longer that they're alive. Just more keep swarming and swarming and swarming along in these schools. Super, super dangerous. But yeah, so this is a little bit of what underwater's like. I'll show you more attunements as we go forwards, but I don't want to information overload you all. We've honestly got so much that we're unlocking and learning right now. It's a bit mental. Speaking of which, okay, this was the main thing I wanted to do on this adventure as we walk to this swamp. We have... None of these fish are going to come out, are they? We have, obviously, some more hero points because we've leveled up. So, let's get deeper into the fire line. Remember, we unlocked this specialization. We went fire. So, let's just basically unlock our way all the way up to our Grandmaster and see what we get. So, we'd already got Pyromancer's training, right? We've now unlocked 2 more, which we're not going to use. But we get Burning Rage, which means we do more damage if people are burning. More flat damage when people are burning. So remember the Dragon's Tooth puts burning on people. That means that when we hit them with the Phoenix afterwards, it's even better. And then also, we got a Grandmaster here. Persisting Flames. Whenever we combo in a fire field with a blast, we get Fury as well now. Not just Might, but we get Fury. And... all of our fire fields last longer. And if we go downstate, we drop a lava font at our feet. That's that staff skill. So this is just so huge, guys. This is such a big trait. So now when I do my flame wall, this will last for ages now. And if I put a combo in it, if you look at my boons, look, we get Fury as well. So now we don't just hit harder, but we crit much more frequently too. I mean, it's so good. And then as a last gasp, next time we go down, we get even more fire fields. Such a cool Grandmaster. One of my favorite Grandmasters in the game. Any Grandmaster that, like, visually affects things, like the duration of an AoE or the size of an AoE. I love that kind of stuff. There actually used to be a trait in the game for Elementalists that meant all of your AoEs were bigger. And I loved that. But eventually they just deleted it and made it so that all AoEs by default were bigger. And I don't know, I feel like you lose a little or something from that. But yeah, so we can go a little bit deeper into fire. There's a cool cave down there we want to be careful of. Here's the Tengu Wall, by the way. I don't think Braktad ever actually walked along this road. A warg. Wargs are cool creatures. There were no wargs in Guild Wars 1, but they appeared here in Guild Wars 2. I don't think there were any wargs in Guild Wars 1. That's a cool scary cave. We're not going to go in there. That's full of Ettins. But yeah, we're going to walk along the Tengu Wall. We're not going to worry about that too much. That road over there leads a long way away, down to the Tarnished Coast, actually. But what we care about is this trade camp. Now remember, we are on the edge of Tengu territory now, okay? This is the Dominion of Winds down here, which we've already talked about. But because we're on the edge of Tengu territory, you do obviously find a higher chance to interact with other Tengu. We're also getting closer and closer to Asuran lands now. And, well, what do you know? There's actually a trade camp here filled with Tengu and Asura. This is where the Orders are meeting up to discuss what's coming up. We've got a scout there as well. We'll talk to you in a second. So let's head on in, and let's see what we think. Okay, so, who have we got? There's actually a lot of cool hidden things.
See a trick?
First, there's this little child, okay? We're going to play a cool game. Now, just so that you know, there is branching dialogue here. Sneaky. This is one of the coolest things that the game ever does, okay? There is sneaky branching dialogue where if you don't speak to this child, then one of the other villagers will come over and they'll actually ask the kid where they've been and say that they've been slacking off, and they'll pull the child away. But if you speak to the child, you get different dialogue. So we're actually gonna go say hi. What trick? What have you got for me? He says, let's play. Okay, all right. He says, want to see my magic trick? Think of a number from 1 to 10, and I'll use my magical powers to guess what it is. All right, guys, let's do it. We're actually going to play this, okay? So think of a number. Everybody thinking of a number? Okay? Get it? Okay, I picked 7. There's actually a psychological thing where everyone, or you have a huge chance to pick 7. All right, no. Okay, so I picked 7. He says, don't say the number, dummy. Just think it. Okay, I'm thinking of 7. No, you really stink at this. Listen, just think of a number and don't say it out loud. Okay, I'm thinking of a number between 6 and 8. It's 7, isn't it? He says. You got it. Good trick, kid. Someday you have to tell me how you did it. No, but we can, oh, wait. Is he running off now already? Oh, that's so annoying. Hold on. We're not doing that. Hold on. I'm going to reset the instance. We'll go back in. I didn't realize it branched in that way as well. Hold on. Hold the phone, guys.
Want to see a trick?
All right, kitty. Yeah, I want to see a trick. Okay, I picked 7. He says, don't say the number, dummy. Just think it. Oh my god, he's running so fast. Just think it. Okay, I've got a new number. All right, so guys, think it. I don't know what you're thinking of. Just pick a number. He says, I hope you can do math. Multiply. So what's my number? I guess I'll say it out loud. You guys are going to have to follow along with my commentary and think of your own number. All right, my number is 5. Okay. All right, so he says, multiply that number by 3. Don't tell me what it is. Okay, so shh, guys. All right, our number's now 15. Done. Okay, now what? He says, now add 3. Okay, so I'm now 18. He says, multiply the new number by 3. Have you got that so far? So 18 times 3 is going to be 30, 46, 54. I think I'm at 54. And I say, right, how long is this going to take? He says, almost done. Now add those 2 digits together. All right, so I'm on 54. So 5 plus 4 is 9. He says, your number is 9, isn't it? Whoa! Hey, yeah, it is. Not bad, kid. Not bad at all. Whoa, guys. Mind blown. Look how smart that kid is. And, yeah, that's actually a maths trick you might have come across before. It should work every time, I think. I don't know why. I don't know the logic of why it works. Maybe in the comments you guys can tell me. But yeah, so the kid's going to run over there now. And I think this woman comes to find him if you don't speak to the child. She says, oh, where have you? You've been slacking off. But yeah, okay, so there's actually a lot of dialogue here. Check it out. We get some Tengu that watch over this area. Maybe we can interact with them?
It only cost half that much in the city. I'll give you 25 gold. That's my final offer.
So this woman's trying to haggle with this Asuran merchant who's trying to fleece her. The foolish Buka that probably doesn't understand commerce very well. I really like that dialogue because it's so easily missable, the story, once you just go down to that house over there, so you can miss it. Yeah, here we get a Tengu. Check it out. A Kuromi merchant. He's very cool, isn't he? It seems like these guys don't want to talk to us. We'll be able to talk to them in the open world version, though. This pack bull here as well is actually related to a dynamic event where the bull runs off down that road quite frequently, or comes up and down the road, that can sometimes trigger in Kessex. We've got a real variety of different races here, guys. Check it out. Look, there's a Char soldier here, a villager speaking with this merchant. Seems like these are just sort of distant, far-flung Asura on the borders of Crater that are trading wares. There's this woman. She actually looks really cool as a merchant. Really cool. I like her. And so we get the guard here. We get the woman with the kid. Does the kid say anything? No, I think he's done now. And yeah, we're going to go into this tent. There's all these golems standing watch. We're going to go into the tent, and here are the order representatives. Hey, guys. I know it's taken me a while, but I'm here. What's going on?
Finally. Thank Duena you're here. I am Scholar Joser of the Durmand Priory. We've been expecting you.
You're here to make decisions, and that's exactly what we need.
For once, Ehan's right about something. I'm Hiroki, a crusader with the Vigil. The Risen forces are active in Lichcroft Mere. There are missing villagers, mostly children. We've got to get soldiers in there. The Vigil has a squad standing by. They're ready to sweep the area on your signal, Advocate. Just give the word.
Advocate, I'm sure you can see that such an approach would only cause more problems. The Durmand Priory has a wondrous device called the Mortis Verge. We believe in using intellect to fight the dragons. Saves on manpower, you know, and we have achieved some marvelous advancements.
Your device is theoretical, untested. You want to risk children on that? Vigil steel is tried and true.
I'm with the Order of Whispers. We brought this to the Queen's attention, but we'll leave the frontline fighting to the others.
Very well. Hiroki, Josir, give me a moment to think this over and then I'll decide.
All right, it's good to hear our voice, man. I haven't heard our voice for a while. Okay, so, yes, we get a choice. It seems Ihan has just basically orchestrated this entire thing. He says, it's not that my organization doesn't support you. We'd just like to have more information before we act. Until then, best of luck. Can you tell me more about your organization? He says the Order of Whispers seeks to subtly influence the world's races to make them unify against the dragons. Influence? Do you mean manipulate? We pull strings, yes, but isn't that the nature of politics? Our goal is to fight the dragons, and that is a noble purpose. So the ends justify the means there? Can you tell me more about the situation in Lichcroft Mere? Well, children search for firewood in that marsh. We need to get the innocents to safety before the Risen can find them. God, so children are at stake here. I'll do everything. And we also get a personality option. I hope that cowardice isn't a common trait in your order. We can just ask a question. Will the Order of Whispers be working with me in the future? Absolutely. You'll be seeing a great deal more of us in the future. Good luck. Okay, good to hear. All right, so we get the choice. Priory, who I've warmed to quite a lot, or the Vigil.
May Balthazar strengthen you.
So Hiroki says, I hate to rush you, Casey, but it's time to decide. We need to find those children. Can you just tell me a little bit more about the Vigil? Well, we're a militia composed of all the races in Tyria. We fight the dragons and protect the innocent. Okay, we understand. Can you remind me about the choices? Well, the Vigil wants to make a direct military strike into the swamp. Oh, wait! Oh! Okay, oh my god, I thought I accidentally... Guys, I was gesturing with my hand in real life, and I accidentally hit the keyboard, thus disabling the UI. Which I thought had triggered a cutscene, which made me think I'd accidentally clicked an option before going through everything, but it's fine, okay? The Priory just wants to go in quietly and use a new magic item. Thanks for reminding me. Well, I actually am ready to decide straight away here. I do like the Priory, don't get me wrong, but I think that the Vigil have got the better idea when it comes to protecting the children's lives. We're not going to mess around with any kind of weird freaking instrument. I'm ready. Excellent. Do you want to join the Vigil's full offensive or go with the Priory's clever new toy? We're going with the Vigil. Now we're getting somewhere. My squad and I will wait for you outside Lichcroft Mere. We'll find those kids and crush some Risen along the way. You Vigil types don't stand still for very long, do you? I like that. I'll see you there. So some of you guys are going to be like, my god, WP, you never picked the Priory option. Ever. We never picked the Priory option. Listen, guys. It's important that we pick this other one. The truth is that the Priory option here is very low on dialogue, while the Vigil option here is very high on dialogue. So it's just a more interesting instance to go for. Sorry, Priory. Okay, so we get some cool stuff here. We get we get the Student Mantle, I guess. Let's pick up the Power and Precision one. We get crafting supplies, more loot, and an invisible bag. So, very recently, we did a mission where I said I think that's probably the easiest one in the game. You'll notice here, though, this story step we just did was a complete story step that has zero combat whatsoever. All we actually did in that entire instance is spoke with people. That was it, the entire thing. I mean, yes, the adventure to get to this area of the world, but otherwise, not much. Do these guys say anything? Are you wavering? Lichcroft Mere is a dangerous place, and I'll need your mind free of distraction. I'll be prepared. Can you tell me anything more about the area? Well, it's a salt swamp. It's usually filled with animals and the occasional thug. These Risen are an unexpected intrusion. Okay. Hiroki says, it's a dangerous place, even without the undead swarming about. I hope you're ready for it. I will be. Can you tell me anything? Well, it's the swamp to our west. Usually the worst thing out there are bandits and the bears. And Ihan has the same dialogue as before. Okay, so there you go. Off to the swamp, I guess it will be for us. We, of course, are at this cool little camp. We get to get a little bit more detail there. But yes, guys, with that instance done, we are going to have to call it there for today. Thank you very much for watching. I'll be back with more of the adventure very soon. We'll look at some more attunements with our Scepter, including the Water Trident and Shatterstone. We've got more points to spend. We've got lots more to learn about this region of the world. And, of course, the undead threat. Getting back on track with that and seeing what the orders have got. Thanks very much for watching, guys. I'll be back next time.
I'm Logan. I want to be Zojak.
Zoja's a girl.
So what?
He can be Zoja if he wants. I'm Kate.
I will serve Queen Jenna until I die.
Quit stepping on my leaves, or the queen will be lonely pretty dang soon. Quit fighting! We have a dragon to kill. Ritlock, you need to use your magic sword, and Air, you better get your axe.
I'll give the orders here. I'm Captain Logan Thackeray of the mighty Sarah.
Norns don't take orders from nobody, just so you know.
It's the enemy!
Run away!
Boop, boop, boop. Boop, boop, deep, deep, boop.
What are you doing, Zoja?
I'm talking to my golem. I'm teaching it how to make cheese and pickle sandwiches.
You really are a genius, little one.
I'm hungry.